All right, I just wanted to thank you guys for joining us tonight. We have some exciting things to share with you. Some special guests, Tony Procopio and Julie Ormsby will be on here doing a little mini training. Um, I wanted to just kind of I wanted to put this together because share my screen. There we go. All right. I wanted to kind of put this together because I feel like we sometimes lose track of what it is to that take what it takes to build the business. And we kind of sometimes get dizzied by different promotions and all these different things. And sometimes we try to focus our energy and our how we build the business um when it comes to those promotions. And I think that can get us off track sometimes. And I wanted to put this together, kind of reset ourselves for success for 2025 and really get back down to basics um, and do what it takes to build a business and really, get promoted to whatever level you want to get promoted to, earn whatever trip you want to earn, and really kind of delve, into that stuff. My name's Erik Veilleux. I'm from Maine Regional Director. Hopefully, really soon I'll be a Senior Director. And I look at my what I've done over the last couple of years. It's been amazing, but I also feel kind of lucky and blessed because I have a great team. But I haven't always done it the way Tony teaches. I haven't always followed the proven system of what really it takes to be successful. So to be where I am, again, I feel lucky and blessed for that, but I also know where I want to be a year from now, and that's partner. And I know it's not gonna, I'm not gonna hit partner going the way I've been going, and I really need to kind of reset myself and my focus on what it takes to really build this business. Um, Part of that, Tony will get into it a little bit as well. I should have made someone a co-host. Part of that um, is driving to director. Tony's going to go through that, like I said. And, that's really what it takes, and it's not just about driving to director. It's about doing the things that get you there. So again, I'm really excited about tonight, and I'm excited about the future. I've heard what Mike's vision, and we are just at the beginning stages. So now I want to really this person has been an amazing friend. We've gotten really close over the years through previous businesses, and she is one of the best at bringing out your why. She will make you cry. Um, and she's senior director. She's earned every trip so far. She's well on her way to partner. Um, Julie, I really appreciate you coming on here tonight and talking about your why and vision board and all that stuff.
Oh, thank you, Eric. Thanks so much. And, it does take that vulnerability, like you had just, said, you haven't always done things the way that Tony teaches it. And what do you hear me say all the time? If you do exactly what Tony teaches you to do, you can't fail in this business. So the very beginning of why you're doing this business, I really do believe is that people, whether you're approaching them, well, we're always approaching them to take a look at the video or take a look at the presentation, but whether they decide to be a customer or whether they decide to join you in business, it's not because they don't buy into what you do. They buy why you do it. So I really feel that you need to share that why and share why you're building this business. And if you're just sitting there going, geez, I don't really know why I'm building this business. It goes for prospecting too. I can tell you this. I just, on the 31st of December, brought a new EA into the business. She was very successful in our previous business. And she asked me, why are you doing this? Why are you with Think Energy? So you better, and that's from a big networker. So you better know why. And I shared all the reasons why, because I mean, reasons why from the standpoint of the company, but my why. And, she joined the business. So um, you you want to work with your team on discover and their why, but you won't get to your true why or their true why without the vulnerability to get really deep into the truth and really share that with other people and be able to share. I can tell you, I've worked with Erik, I've worked with Alma, I've worked with Dan Allard, I've worked with Heather um, on really driving deep into the why. Actually working with a couple people not even on our team right now, working on the why. And it's no big surprise that they all have really taken off in their business after we've delved down into that. And I've just recently started working with Heather in the past couple of months, but all of you that I mentioned that I've worked with over the years, we need to revisit that again. We revisit it all the time because that why does change. So if I will also work with you individually as leaders to on the dialogue to help your team discover their why. And we can do that, another time. We don't need to do that right now, but as a leader, you want to get to know your team because again, this is a little cliche, but they really don't care how much you know until they know how much you care about them. This is a relationship building business. And I can tell you that I have breakfast, lunch, or dinner with teammates wherever I'm at. If I'm here, probably a few times a week. It's not always the same person. I know Erik and the team in Maine do that a lot, and they stick together and work together on what they're doing up there. So the why is so important. But when you discover why you're doing the business, and again, reach out to me if you'd like. Then we go to setting goals and vision boards, and they're not one of the same, but they go together. So as goals, I always start with the end in mind. Say, like Erik said, I want to be partner by the end of the year, and then work backwards. What do you need to do on a monthly basis? What do you need to do on a weekly basis, a daily basis? I know exactly how many customers I need right now to promote to partner by June 30th. I know how many I need a month. I know how many I need a week, and I know how many I need a day on those week legs to promote. So if you don't know that and you don't know where you're going, then you're not going to hit that target. So with those goals and as you're creating your vision board, like Erik and his family did, I've had a vision board before I ever got into network marketing, and it works. And I can tell you, put lifestyle there, put achievements that you want there. Don't worry about how you're going to get it. Okay. Even your goals, if you say, I want to be senior director or whatever it is by the end of the year, don't sit and figure out like, I mean, you want to work back and know what you need, but you have leaders and other people to help you with what you need to do on a daily basis. That's why we're here and why Tony is going to, help teach you what you need to do and what habits that you need to develop on a daily basis to get there. Just get it written down. When I wanted to promote to regional director in this business, I just put it down. A date I had no idea because we were all just getting started or how that would be possible at all by the date I wrote it down. But it happened because I sat down and did what I just explained to you, figured out what I needed to do, reached out to people, and developed those habits on a daily basis to get there. And now on the vision board, I can share a couple things. Back in our previous business, it was on my vision board when we had started that business. We wanted to do a winter vacation and a summer vacation. And shortly after, we had earned the trip to Puerto Rico and to Lake Tahoe. And it's like, oh my gosh, you know, there's your winter and summer vacation. When we needed a new car, when our car completely crapped the bed and we needed a new car, I wanted a Chrysler 300. I went and drove it. I sat in it. I took the big manual home. I put the big picture on the refrigerator right next to my vision board. And soon enough, we had that as well. Our in-ground pool. I wasn't sure how we were going to come. They're expensive. I don't know if you guys have ever priced them, but it was on the vision board for a couple years. As soon as I moved out of my house that had one, it went back on the board to get one. On my vision board right now is eat, drink, and still shrink. I've been able to lose some weight here in the past couple months, but I tell you what, I haven't given up bacon and I haven't given up my evening cocktail. So, those are things that are not negotiable there, but it's happening. So if you put it there and you see it in front of you all of the time, it will happen reaching out to people. But I can tell you, reaching out to your leaders to help you discover your why, how to build the business, how to get to those goals that you want. But I can tell you none of it manifests itself by itself. None of it's just going to poof happen just because you've written it down or just because you've had it on a vision board. And Kim alluded to that a little bit in our team call yesterday, that you can have all the goals in the world, you can have the most beautiful huge vision board, but unless you change your daily habits, nothing's going to change. And so when she was talking about that yesterday, the first thing this morning before I even got out of bed, Terry and I were listening to Jim Rohn, The Four Seasons of Life, and he talks about that. I recommend going to YouTube and listening to that, because he basically says nothing changes unless you're changing your habits and what you do. So we do have a building block that is in place that Tony teaches week after week after week, of what we need to do, and those daily habits. If he'll go into that, but the building block is 5-3-5, and I like to even take it. That's the technical part, but in the team building part, multiply this out. If you made 5 invitations a day for 30 days, what's that? 150 invitations, that 5, so 5 a day, and you reached out to 3 teammates and said, hey, you want to have lunch, you want to do this, how can I help you? Reached out and tried to help your teammates, and then made 5 follow-ups a day. Where would your business be by the end of the month? Based on the law of averages, you would probably have about 10 to 15 new advisors in your business, and those are just daily habits of also applying the 5-3-5. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Tony to get into more of the technical. I went over a little bit of more of the mental and what you need to do what Tony's about to teach you there. And I'm sure he'll mention it, but all of you obviously are here and committed to this business. So please, please make sure you and your teams are registered for Dallas, the next Empower 25, because I just usually make it as part of the enrollment process. It's like you enroll, you do this, you do that, you get certified, and you sign up for Empower. So I want to encourage you to slide that right into the enrollment process. But is that what you wanted, Eric? Is there anything else you want me to add or any questions you have?
No, that's great. Yeah, no, that's perfect. And the vision board and definitely, writing things down is a big thing. And I appreciate all that you said, and definitely the why, because sometimes we forget, and doing it like you said, doing the vision board yearly, or even your why, like resetting your why is a big thing. But
You want me to remind you what yours is? I won't do it right here, but we'll have a call soon.
yeah, definitely. All right. Thanks, Julie. And
Yeah.
we'll do some Q&A after this too. But uh,
Okay.
yeah, Tony is like an amazing leader, one of the best trainers we have. He's one of the founding advisors here in Think, and is a senior partner. They were the first senior partners in the company. And Tony, welcome.
Appreciate you putting this together. And Julie, just right on I just nailed it right on target. Perfect. I was sitting there thinking about, I was talking to Kylie yesterday and I was thinking he was like in some kind of dart tournament. I guess he's some kind of big darts, aficionado kind of champion guy and stuff like that. It was like world class, I guess, something like that. But anyway, I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, Julie's just nailing it every time. Like Kylie's hitting the bullseye on the golf, on the darts tournament. So just right on track, with what you said there, Julie. I mean, everybody needs to do those things. And, without the fuel of, your reason why and having a vision board in front of you so that you can change your brain and change your mindset, it's just not going to happen the way you want it to. And it's amazing how when you do put things on a vision board like that, it just comes to fruition. And so I have a vision board. I update my vision board every time I knock something off. We knocked off, we put the trip to we put when we first started this business, we created a vision board, and Diana and I did. And I said, well, what do we want to do? And she said, I want to take you to Kauai, because she lived in Hawaii for 4 years and I had never been to that island before. She says, it's my favorite island in the world. 3 months after we put it on the vision board, or 6 months after we put it on the vision board, Mike Falquist calls us up and says, hey, guess what? We're going to Kauai, for the leadership trip. And we had never talked to him about it, never did it, but we were thinking about it, we were praying about it, we were focused on it. I saw it on the refrigerator every single day for 6 straight months, and all of a sudden it comes to fruition. And that's what happens. And had he not brought us there on that leadership trip and made it a point to allow people to qualify for it, we would have just gone there on our own, because we were working toward that all along. So it's amazing how that works. And, I've been talking to Erik quite a bit recently, just about goals and starting the new year right, and the things that people do to become successful, and kind of like why someone is successful. And then you look at somebody else who you think is the same exact ability or even greater ability, and you wonder why they're not as successful as somebody who is just, well, I don't know what they're doing. People sit there and wonder what people are doing. And I can tell you this: the number one thing that people are doing who are becoming successful in this business is they and their team are continuing to bring new blood into their business. Okay. All the other things that you do up until that point is to get you to the point where you're bringing new team members onto your team. Okay. That is the lifeline of our business. Yes, you have to bring customers in, but here's the thing, in this team, I mean, look, Erik, you and your team, you guys are probably, like, as far as like customers per advisor, you're like insane. Like, the whole team is just insane. You guys are like, you bring more customers in, than on average, probably than the rest of you. You're tilting the average for the whole company because you guys are bringing in so many customers. And so you have a great customer gathering group in your network. And I think in talking to Erik, the next phase is to really take it to the next level and be able to bring in brand new advisors and then duplicate that same process where you're on record-setting pace per advisor. So we know that kind of, Erik knows it, what his numbers are, but whatever the number is, if it's 10 or 12 or 20, Erik knows that every time a new advisor comes onto his team, it's going to bring in 10, 12, 20 customers. Some of the people on this call, I remember hearing people on this call like Alma and some other people on here that and Kylie. I mean, it's like you hear these numbers of the numbers of customers that they're bringing in. I'm like, my gosh, how do they bring those back? I'm sitting here going, man, I have like 30 customers. And I'm like, I hear Alma go, well, at one point I remember asking her, and she's like, I have like 90 customers or something, or however many she signed up. She's probably signed up more than that. But I was like, how do you get 90 customers? And I'm like, it's unbelievable. But then she said to me, how do you sponsor that many people? Right. And so that's what we get at. And so we know we have a great system in place to gather customers. The next phase is to really get this team supercharged into bringing in brand new advisors onto your team, like everybody on the call. There's never a better time than to do that than now at this time of the year, like January, February, March. More people start, like, all the way through April, even if you look at trends and tendencies of what people do, more people start gigs at this time of the year. They like, I'm going to become an Uber driver. I'm going to start a YouTube business. I'm going to start a eBay or a YouTube channel. I'm going to start an eBay business or an Amazon business. More people do that in January, February, March, and April than any other time of the year. That's how it works. It's how people's cycles are. And so, knowing that the world is looking for opportunity, we've got to get it to them. We've got to bring it to them and bring it to them regularly. And that's really what I want to get to. The point here is, if you want to sponsor people like Julie was talking about, you back out of that. You back down. If I want to sponsor 3 new representatives of my team, 3 new advisors, how do I do that? Well, in order to sponsor 3 advisors, if you're like the worst advisor, prospector in the history of our company, and let's say you had to go and show, I don't know, 20 or 30 people or 40 people or 50 people, maybe you have to talk to, 20 people to have 3 advisors join your team, or 30 people, because it's not going to have to be that many if you do it right. But so we know if we want to bring 3 new advisors onto our team, personally ourselves, and breathe new life into our business, then we need to show 30 people if we're like not really that good. Jim Rohn talks about it all the time. He's like, if you're pretty bad, you're going to get 1 out of 10. If you're really good, you're going to get 3 out of 10. If you're maybe super, super good, you might get 4 out of 10. So we know the numbers. And so when you back that out, you say, well, I need to invite 30 people so I can get 3 on my team, even if I'm terrible. That sounds about right. But here's the thing. In order to get 30 people onto your team, you need to be able to invite 30 people. You need to have 30 people. You have to identify 30 people, which means you need a list of people. And without the list, this engine doesn't go. And so then you back that out and you say, well, the people who have the big list, people who make a big list, guess what? Guess what they also have? They also have what Julie talked about. They have a vision board. They have a big reason why. So when you put all those things together, you get your reason why down, you get your vision in front of you, and then you go build your list. That is exactly what Diana and I did on the 31st and 1st, the 31st of December and the 1st of January. We went back and refocused on our why as if we were brand new in the business. And we retooled and reworked our vision board with new things and some old things that we kept on there that we're still working toward that are more long term. And now we have a real reason why we're charging ahead. And then we went and rebuilt our list. Okay, so that's the order that you guys, this is what everybody needs to do. Exactly what Julie said. And then get the memory jogger out and rework your list. Retool your list of people. You're going to have all new people that are on there. And after you do your vision board and you've identified your why, you're going to start thinking of all new people because your brain is in the creative stage. So I know for a fact, I've been doing this for 30 some odd years. Every year I redo my list. And I know that if I haven't done my vision board, I will not be in the creative stage and I will actually not think of as many people as I could have when I get to the memory jogger. So you guys, you're tricking yourself into success here, or you're preparing yourself for the best success. So do that. Don't do your list until you already have your vision board and your why identified and in front of you. Then work your list. Go and spend a couple hours making that list. And that's going to be the basics of what we need to do to get to the next level, to bring all new advisors onto our team. Once we have a new, bigger list, then we identify and start looking at, well, who are we going to call on that list? Because, we just redid our list and we ended up having 2,060 people on our list. That's how many we had. But because if you do this exercise on a regular basis, you're going to have a lot of people on your list. You're going to continually add people. I looked at what we did, about 4 or 5 months ago when we reworked our list, which I do a couple times a year, usually with the seasons. We actually have about 80 names on our list that we didn't even know before 4 months ago. 4 months ago, We did our list, or 5 months ago, I think it was 5 months ago. There are 80 people on that list that were not on our list. Like we didn't know them or we didn't think of them the last time we did our list. All right. So everybody should have, I mean, if you're fooling yourself if you don't have 200 names on your list, honestly. I mean, in our training, we talk about 100 to 1,000 names. But if you don't have 200 names on your list, you're definitely prejudging people. And honestly, especially if it's a couple, if you work together and do your list, spouse, significant other, and you don't have like 400 to 500 names on your list, honestly, you're prejudging people. You're not doing the actual exercise. And so if you go and do this exercise and create this list, this is what is going to propel you. Because now, when you go to reach out to the first person on your list that you identify as a committed, hardworking person of integrity, you're going to look at the people that you want to reach out to first. There's certain people that you want to reach out to first because you suspect they're a suspect. You suspect that they might be good at this versus somebody else on the list. And that's great. Do that. Reach out to them first. But I can tell you this, when you have 200, 400, 500 names on your list or more, the more names you have on your list, the more successful your invitations will be, the more you won't be needing people. And they will perceive that. Like there's going to be an unspoken language and a confidence when you're talking to them, when you're texting them. There's going to be an unspoken language, especially when you get on the phone with them and invite them to take a look properly. There's going to be more, you're going to have more success because you don't need them. And that's the key. That is the key when you're prospecting. Like as soon as my list gets low, I make sure I jack that thing up so that I have more on it when I go to reach out to new people. So the best thing you can do after you build your list is start contacting those people. And that's where we're going to go. That's what we all need to do. I mean, if I can encourage everybody to do the things that Julie talked about and then rework your list, that is going to create the environment for you to succeed. Then it's just about reaching out, which takes really no time at all. It doesn't take a lot of time to prospect people. It doesn't take a lot of time to reach out to people. So that if I can encourage everybody to just get back to those basics, that's what I would do. And then once you have your list made, then you should get back to whoever you're working with, the person, if you're working with Erik or you're working with Julie or whoever you're working with, get back to the person, the people who you are counseling with, who you are, who are working with you, and get back to them and say, this is how many people I have on my list, and let them know. That's what I love that. I just sponsored a woman in South Carolina on January 1st. And she's never lived in any of our states where we are open, ever. She's not from this area. She's a military person, and and she runs a nonprofit and does some cybersecurity stuff part time. So when I reached out to her, I said, as soon as you have your list, send it to me, and then we can get started. Literally, that's what I did. I had her do I had her do her why, just like Julie said, had her do her vision board. She did it. And I said, great, now we're going to work on your list. It didn't go the opposite. I didn't say work on your list today and then let's get your vision board done, or work on your list today and then let's go and get your why established. No, I went through systematically. And once she had her list, she sends me back a list, and she had it all handwritten. She took pictures of it. I think it was 9 pictures. It was 9 pages. So she had a list of well over 1,000 people. And she sent this to me, and I said, great. So we went through her list and we identified the markets where we're open. Let's go after those first. If the people who are in the states where we are open right now, and we narrowed down her list to about 170 people. So she's from South Carolina, never lived in our service area. She knows 170 people that are in our service area. That's where we're going to start first. And then we're taking those 170, and that's what she's doing right now. She's contacting those people properly, and she's going to get them onto a 3-way call with me. And that's how we're working it. And so what Erik and I were talking about beyond just getting back to basics was to expand outside of your current local market. And that's something that I think everybody needs to do a lot more of as well. And because if you have business in all states, like Erik was telling me, he's heading down to where'd you say, Erik? You're heading down to Maryland with us, right? To the training
Yep.
because you have some new advisor on your team or somebody you
Yep.
sponsored. I'm not sure if it's personal or on your team, but somebody who's from Maryland, right? That just got promoted.
Yep.
And so, I was talking to Erik about, they said, I'm going down to Maryland because, there's a little bit of a fire going on. There's a little spark there, and he wants to go and throw some fuel onto the fire to go down to Maryland and do that. So that when Maryland has a great promotion, when Maryland has an update, all of a sudden they switch over to UCB, Utility Consolidated Billing, he's going to have somebody in that market. And we all want to have people in every market. I remember talking to Alma about this, and next thing you know, she's like, well, I have somebody, I want to get outside of Maine. And next thing you know, she's got somebody in Georgia who then knew somebody back in Maryland, and that's how this works. So you guys, this is the way. And if you look at Julie. Julie is not working one market. Julie's team, she has people in every port. That's what she's doing. So that's what you should do. If you want to build a strong and profitable long-term business within Think Plus, you want to not just be in one state. Like when we opened this business, I remember when we started this business, we weren't even considering having Connecticut on the map as open, like my state where I live. Mike Falquist asked me and Diana to become founding members of this Think Plus network. And he said, we're not going to open Connecticut ever. Do you want to do this? And I was like, man, I just said, well, let me go make my list. And I made my list, and I was like, I think I want to do this because I know people in enough of the states where we're going to be open. It wasn't until 5 months later that regulations changed and made it more valuable for us to open the Connecticut market. But when we first started, I thought I was never going to be able to be my own customer. And so if that's the case, then whatever state you're in, I know there's people on here from all different states, but you want to have business in every state. Like if you're in Maine, you want to have business in Pennsylvania. If you're on this call from Pennsylvania or New York, you want to have business in Pennsylvania, and Maine and Maryland. You want to have business in Texas. So let's just get back to basics. Utilize the tools that Julie just described to you, the steps. Then utilize the memory jogger to make a huge list of people. And then let's start contacting those people. And that's all we have to do. That is the basic building block of this business. And the last thing I'll share, and then I'll turn it back over to you, Erik, is that I remember when I first got involved in network marketing, I was in an arena with, I think there was 20,000 people at this arena. It was just kind of like our national convention. And this is back in the day when I was with a company called Amway, which a lot of people have heard of. Great training system. They're not really viable anymore in America. They're kind of an international company now instead. But they had a great training system. And this is where I learned that memory jogger that we have is actually from that business. It's like we've updated it along the way, but that thing has been going for 40 some odd years. That thing has been utilized effectively through networks. And so I remember being in this arena with 20,000 people, and they were having people go up and write questions. What are you having issues with? And everybody put in had a big barrel, and there was 20,000 people. So 5,000 people were putting little pieces of slips of paper in there with one question on it. It was really funny. And then at the second day of the event, out comes this person who'd made over $100 million in network marketing. And I was like, are you kidding me? $100 million? How could you even do that? And I was like, and he was maybe 15 years older than me at the time. I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. I think I was 22 years old and he was 37, and he made $100 million. And he said, I'm gonna take these questions one by one. And we sifted through this barrel of questions, and we came up with the top 20 questions that are the best questions that we're going to answer right here live with 20,000 people in an arena where they play basketball, right? So there I am. And I'm like sitting there with my notepad. I'm ready to take notes down. I'm like, oh, this is going to be unbelievable. They picked out the best questions, and somebody who made $100 million is going to answer them. I'm like, this is going to be the most valuable thing I've ever had in my life. So the first question comes up, and the person is like, I'm having difficulty sponsoring, I'm having difficulty getting my people started. How do I get my people after I get them started to go actually do something? That was the first question that came up. And I'm like, oh, it's a question. Can't wait to hear the answer to this one. And he holds up the piece of paper and he goes, sponsor someone else. And he puts the paper down. And I was like, wow, that's his answer. So the next question comes up. I have a consultant on my team or advisor on my team, and they're having difficulty, getting customers to go on to auto ship and things, all the different things about customer acquisition. And he looks at the question, he goes, here's the answer: sponsor someone else. So then it was like, I'm trying to, I have somebody on my team that's working to get onto the trip. What is the best way that you think what can I do to help them get on the trip? And I'm like, great question. And he goes, sponsor someone else. And all of a sudden, after like 7 questions, I finally got it. I was like, okay, this guy is like all about sponsoring other people. And he said, I could go through every single question in this barrel, and the number one thing that you can do as a leader to help your team move forward is to sponsor someone else, because it's going to show them that you're doing the basics of what this business is. And it's going to create a little mini competition between your friendly competition between your teams. And it's going to breathe new life into your business, which is the lifeblood of what you're doing. And it's going to help you to expand into more markets. And your team is going to get bigger, and then people are going to follow you. And I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, that is the number one thing that you can do to make your business better, is bring new people onto your team. Because you'll go and work with those new people, and guess what? You'll go back to the basics, like I'm doing with this woman, Shelly, in South Carolina. And I'm going back to the basics with her, brand new. And then I'm going back to the people that I'm working with, including you guys. And I'm like, wow, I'm just telling you exactly what I did with new people just in the last couple days. So this is what we need to do, you guys. We all need to get better at the basics, at if it's basketball, the free throw, the layup, the simple steps that you need to survive and move forward and thrive. Not just survive, but thrive in this business is getting back to the basics, and it has to start with you. If you don't have your vision board, you're going to fall to the wayside. If you haven't identified your why, you're going to fall to the wayside. If you haven't built your list, you're going to fall to the wayside, and you're going to be, coming back 6 months from now saying, I don't know why I can't get things going. And it all comes down to that, and going and moving into that action to be able to reach out to those people. See, because I know that once you have a list, Eric, I know that once there's a list, everybody on this call has 200, 400, 500, 800, somebody might have 1,000 names on their list, everybody on this call, then all I know we need to focus on is the invitation at that point. And that's real simple. We can fix that. We can make you have the proper invitation. But you have to do the work of building that list and getting the actual blueprint for your business in writing in the form of a list. So that's what I wanted to talk about. All this other stuff about making money in 535, that's all going to happen by sponsoring someone else. Okay. And I've been asking, I said, hey, Mike Falquist, I said, Mike, we should do a training like that, like in public, and do the same type of thing at one of our big events, like maybe in Dallas. What is the best thing you can do to fix your business? And the answer is always sponsor someone else. Like, plain and simple, because that means you're doing the basics and you're going to be teaching it to your team. So, Eric, I've rambled on enough.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that with everybody. That's where we are, getting back to the basics. What else do we need? Anything else?
No, that's great. And when you talk about the list, and you were talking about Amway and stuff, like, you don't have a business if you don't have products. And in our business, our list is our inventory. And without the list, you have no inventory, so you have no business.
Right.
So
That's
yeah,
right. Hey
Definitely.
Eric, I'll share this with you. So this is when I knew that I really had to have a list, and everybody on my team needed to have a list. Okay, so get this. I went down to another. This was maybe, when was this? This was 2011. This is 2011. I've been in network marketing for, like, I don't know, like 20 years or something, 30 years or something, 20 years at that point. I think it was 20 years. So, and I went to an event, and it was kind of a leadership event, like as if we had gathered all of the regional energy advisors in Think Energy at a national convention and got them all into one room. Think about that. Like, okay, we have 5,000 advisors in Texas at our Dallas convention, in 2025, and 20 or 30% of there's 1,000 people that are regional energy advisors. So we bring all the regional energy advisors in for a leadership meeting. Okay, so figure this. Think about this in your mind. Now there's 1,000 people in it. That's where I was. I was like, great. So I was already promoted. I was like regional or above. So I got to go to the meeting. And I had my whole team. I had, like, in that room there was like a couple thousand people in this case, and I think I had like 150 people out of like 2,000 people in this room for this regional event. And I was like, okay, great. I got a lot of people in the seats. And this guy comes out. His name is Dexter Yeager. And I don't know if you know who Dexter Yeager is, but Dexter Yeager he made over $500 million before he died recently, not too long ago. And now his family has made over $650 million. Like, he made another 150 after he died. And they're actually accelerating. They're making more money after he died than when he was alive. It's incredible. So this guy, Dexter Yeager, who had at that point, I think, made like $200 million or something, he comes walking out into the meeting and he says, okay, how many of you have a list? You've built your list. And so everybody's hands went up. It was like everybody in the whole audience, their hand went up. He's like, great. How many of you people have a written list that you wrote it down? It's not like, in a device. And he's like, and then it was kind of like, I don't know, like maybe 1/3 of the room had a written list. The rest of them were probably saying, well, they're on this, they're in my social media platform or whatever, and so then he says, okay, out of everybody who has their hands up, the 1/3 of the people who have their hands up, how many people have a written list with them right now? And I still had my hand up because I heard him say a long time ago, you always have to have your written list with you wherever you go. So there was about maybe 10% of the 2,000 in the room had their hand up, that they had their written list with them. And then he said, how many of you that have your hand up have a written list with more than 300 names on it? And I still had my hand up because I had like 500 names on my list at that point. And so there was only about 25 people who had a written list with several hundred names on it. I don't know if it was 500 or 300, but whatever it was more than 100. And so he said, great, these are the people that I need to work with. Everybody else, you can go back to your hotel room. Thanks for coming. And he let 1,970 people left the room, and he worked with the 30 people that were the most committed people in the business. And he said, that's what we need to do. And I was like, wow, it just left this impression on me about how powerful it is for somebody who has that much going on in their business, and he wants to work with the people who are actually doing the basics. And that's what we're talking about, Eric. So,
Yeah.
maybe we'll do that at some point. Hey, you can't come into this leadership group, or you can't come on this trip unless you have your list, unless you have, unless you're showing us your vision board. Maybe we can't sponsor you unless you show us your vision board, or we can't let you get promoted unless you have a vision board. It would be something like that. Like, Julie, how great would that be if we gave everybody $100 if they created a vision board? I mean, I think we'd have a lot of success.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah. I can tell you when you were talking about Kauai, on my vision board, well, it's still on there because I have to update it, but was Maui. And I thought, wow, well, at least we're going to Kauai. But I don't know if you knew this, we got delayed in San Diego and we're a day late getting to Kauai, and they rerouted us to Maui. We had to spend the night. And Terry goes, I guess that counts as Maui then.
But I remember that happening. I was like, darn you, I love Maui. I want to go over to Maui. That
Yeah.
was great. It
But
was
I'm like,
awesome.
that's not exactly what I meant, but
That is
Yeah,
perfect.
no, Tony and Julia, it's awesome. I'm gonna open up for Q&A, but also like one of the main things we talked about it on the phone was getting people paid immediately when they join the business, and if we're not doing that, we're losing people, and we need to show duplication. So I don't know if you wanted to touch on that a little bit real quick, but
Look,
yeah.
I mean that's of paramount importance. Once you have someone sponsored, it's kind of like what Eric Worre says in GoPro. They're like an infant, like this woman Shelly, right? So Shelly, I sponsored her, and I think we sponsored 7 people since the 31st of December. We've personally sponsored 7 people since the 31st. So what's today's date? So it's the 5th. So we're sponsoring like one person a day right now. Basically, is what it comes out to. So each one of those people, I consider them like an infant. So if an infant doesn't get fed like for a few days or get water or formula or whatever, doesn't get sustenance, then the infant is going to die because the infant cannot live on their own. They cannot gather their own sustenance. And that's how I like to look at it with people that are brand new when they come in and you sponsor someone. There's a ticking time clock. It's like, okay, if they've been in the business for a day, and they haven't gotten a customer yet. They signed up yesterday. Now it's 24 hours later and they haven't gotten a customer yet. They don't know that the business works, so they're about 50% as excited as they were when they signed up. Then the second day, they're half as excited. And then the third day, they're half as excited. So it goes from 50% to 25% to 12.5% to 6.25% to 3.125%. So each day that goes by the time you've finished up 7 days and they haven't gotten a customer, that excitement number goes from 100% on day one down to 1% on day 7. If you follow the progression, half of the excitement each day. And by that time, guess what? They're most likely not going to do anything with the business. And so that's how you have to treat it. And if we treat that and we get people paid, it creates an incredible belief system, in people's minds that, my gosh, I invested $59 and I turned it into $200 or $300 in 24 to 48 hours by gathering a few customers, or I turned it into $150 or whatever. Even if you turned it into $60, I put in 59 and I earned 60 by signing up 3 electric customers, whatever it is. That's the expectation. Like whatever your expectation is with people, that's what they're going to do. And that is the basis. I mean, the previous business that I was in the energy sector, some of us were in that business together. My upline was like, hey Tony, he's like, I said, so how do I do this? I asked him, what's the secret? He says the secret is getting people paid in 24 to 48 hours. And I said, really? So how'd that go for you? And he said, well, I sponsored the first 88 people that I ever sponsored. All of them got paid within 24 to 48 hours. And then on the 89th person that signed up, they broke my streak. And he's like, and I couldn't believe it. So the next 100 that came into his group, not personally sponsored, he made sure that every one of those people got paid. And that's what that team did. And he ended up building a team that had like, it had like 70,000 customers, on his team. And just by getting people paid and getting the team focused on getting every new person that comes in, ticking time clock. If we go 48 hours and they haven't gotten paid yet, they're going to quit. They're not going to do this. So let's get this done. And that's what he did. So that's what we should do. Eric,
Yeah,
we should do that.
definitely.
Tony,
Um,
when I started with Kim and Jim, back in 2011, you're so right. It's like infant or child. And when she said, just ask me what to do next, I had no expectation of what I was supposed to do. So when she told me, oh, we need to gather 5 customers this week or whatever it is. And so we did, and I got paid. And I said, okay, what next? And we ended up doing really well out of the gate. I forget exactly how it went, but because they just don't know. You set the expectation for that new person, just exactly what Tony said.
I
um,
agree.
looks like Alma had a question. I don't know if you want to unmute yourself or want me to just read it.
I mean, I can
But
ask it.
okay.
So I 100% agree. Like urgency when they get going is really important. And I see that they die off pretty quick. So if you have someone that is nice, Sean. Um,
We have to do this on every
I
single question that
know, I
comes up from
know.
now on. Sean's going to answer it, sponsor someone else. He
Onto
figured
someone
it
else.
out.
So if they're in it, like, because you, like you said, you have someone that's in South Carolina, did she get paid within 24 hours?
Yeah, she did.
So she had to get an advisor in another state, and they
No,
have to get no.
nope. And what we did with her. So what we did is I had her do all the steps. So she identified her why. She shared it with me. She didn't have to, but she did. She created her vision board. She created a list. She had a whole bunch of people on the list. We identified 170 people. This was on day 2, in the morning of day 2 when she joined. She already had her why, her vision board, her list already done. She was motivated. She's like, I said, how fast do you want to go? She said, I want to go as fast as I can. So she had hundreds of names. I think she had over 1,000 names on her list, but we'd identified 170 that were in the markets where we were open. Okay, so then I said to her, out of those 170 people, who are there people on that list that you know for a fact, like they're elderly, they're beyond working age, they're not looking for money anymore, they're not somebody that would potentially be an advisor, like someone that you suspect would not be an advisor?
Okay,
And
got
she said, and so she identified like 5 or 6 of those people. And I said, great, you're going to call those people up, and I'm going to teach you how to ask them to be your customer, and you're going to do that. Because I wanted her, even though she's not in the market where she can ask, her neighbor to be her customer, I wanted her to get experience in doing this so that when she did sponsor somebody in the states where we are open, she knew exactly what to teach them because she had done it. So I didn't want her teaching somebody something she hadn't done. And so she ended up getting 3 customers out of I think it was 7 people. There were 3 people that became her customer. Now, 2 out of the 7 wouldn't be her customer because they were in like co-ops. So they couldn't even be her customer, even though they were in those states. They were in a co-op, so they didn't have like regular utility bill, but she got like, I think she got 3 out of 5 of the ones that could be her customer became her customer. One of the 5 that didn't become her customer said, I'm not going to become your customer because I saw when you sent over your website link to me, because I had her have her, her website link that she sent, instead of it just being the customer one, that's, get.think join, get.thinkenergy.com. I had her send her thinkenergy.plus / her nickname, which is what I'm doing with people now. I'm really focused on that. So she sent that instead. So she said, hey, sign up here as a customer. And she sent it over to them. And then it said, when the person clicked on it, it said, become a customer or become an advisor. Well, this person who we thought was older, wasn't looking for money, clicked on become an advisor and started researching, how does this business work? And they went and started Googling things. And next thing you know, they said, hey, listen, I was going to sign up as a customer, but I'm not, because I want to be my own customer. And then the 5th one wouldn't be the customer. We're just like, no, I'm not interested. It's not something I want to do. I'm not interested in saving money. I don't care. And it was a community solar customer in New York that it's like, why wouldn't you be a customer? But you know what? Sometimes they're just not going to do it. And that's how it is. So I said, leave that alone. Don't try to make a customer not a customer. Just leave that one alone. Sign up the 3, bring in the new advisor onto your team. And now your business is now operating in Illinois. She knew somebody in Illinois. That's the person who became an advisor. I said, so you're able to sign up an advisor right away. And she's like, okay, great. So that's where we were. And so, that's how you get out of the market, is by, finding people who are, even if it doesn't matter if you live in Georgia, as you know, Alma, you can build the business because you speak from experience with that, with people on your team. And now what I have her focused on is she's got the, the slide that we have that has like the state, all the states that we're in with the list, the name, the picture of the map and the name of the states. And it says, how many of these states do you know people in, or whatever. She has that saved as a picture on her phone, and she's texting this out to most of the people on her list that are not in those service areas. Okay. So like the people, she has like 500 people from South Carolina that are on her list because that's where she lives. She grew up there. I said, you're going to take all those 500 people, you're going to send them this picture. And you're going to ask them this question. You're not going to talk to them about Think Energy. You're not going to talk to them about being a customer. They can't be. You're going to send this picture to them and you're going to ask them what their number is. How many of these states do you know people in? And I said, and then once you get that back from everybody, the ones who have the highest number, you're going to talk to them first. Because if somebody says, I know people in all the states, why? Which she already had, I said, we need to show that person this plan right now. And then she's systematically going through out of the 170 names that she had on her list that were in our states where we're open, that were not, that were people that she didn't kind of cross off the list in a way to become just a customer. So there's like 163 that are people that are of working age. She knows they want more money in their life. She's contacting them the way she would anybody, as if she was in Maine and lived in Maine and was contacting somebody in Maine. So that's what we're doing. And so, yeah, she's already sponsored her first person and brought in, customers, and she lives in South Carolina.
Okay.
Awesome. Heather, I saw you have a question or idea. I don't know if you want to unmute or.
Yeah, I'm unmuted. Thank you. So I have a statement too. Tony, I love your stories, first of all. They are you're so animated and so fun to listen to. They really sink in. And I've listened to them on different meetings like this. I've listened to them at Alma's house, and I just love it. So please keep telling us your stories and your life experience in network marketing. But my idea kind of came to me. I know when I work with my other company and I work with consultants, sometimes we work ahead before they join. Have you done that with potential, either Tony, Julie, Eric, any of you guys, before they actually enroll? So like you do, I'm actually writing this down. You do the invite, they say, okay, I'll take a look at the video, you send the video, you do the 3-way call, and now they're interested in being an advisor. At that point, have you thought about talking to them about, okay, well, what are your goals? Let's do your vision board. Let's do your why statement. Let's do your memory jogger before they sign up. So that way, when they do sign up, it's all about getting those customers and getting them paid.
That's a great look. All that does, if you end up doing that in advance, you're prepping someone to have success, in advance, which is great. It's a great thing to do. The only reason that I haven't like gone and taught that personally myself to people, and have I done it before? Absolutely. It's kind of like you're pre-gathering, customers in a way, doing all these things so that you're maximizing your result right out of the gate. The only thing that I would say is I do that with people, Heather, and I like doing that with people. As long as they go ahead and do, their list, and they identify their why and they do their vision board and they start working on their list. That's great as long as they do it. But what I've also seen, if they do that before they join, what I've also seen is that a lot of people that if you didn't have them join first, they don't have quite as much invested in what they're doing. And so sometimes you'll end up losing that person because they didn't actually join yet and they're going through the steps, and they might go take an opinion poll with someone else because they didn't come in and do the training and I didn't tell them to keep their mouth shut. And they even if I did tell them, they go talk to somebody and they just don't have the information. So it's kind of like it's good for certain people, and you kind of have to play that, with your style and look at their style. And as long as you feel like they're not going to get blown out of the business, like, if it's somebody who's like somebody who already has experience in this industry, then yeah. If it's somebody who's just working at a job and they've never done anything like this and they're like 25 years old and, they don't even know what network marketing is, but they like the idea, I would want that person to actually join first so that I could get them invested themselves, in the business, and so that I can actually have them walk through their back office and have their website up and running before they ever talk to anybody, because they will. That's the risk you run when you get somebody started before they actually join, is that they go take opinion polls, and then the next thing you know, they're kind of like in witness protection. But Heather, it's a good thing to do, because you could have, those people might not have lasted anyway. Just they're too weak. Like Jim Rohn says, the seed fell on infertile ground. So there's a lot of ways that you can do it. But yeah, there's always ways to kind of pre-launch people. I like doing that. I just worked with a group of people recently that the first person was like a maybe and wanted to join. The second person said, yeah, I'm ready to join, but I didn't even sign that person up. I said, well, why don't you go and put 15 people onto a Zoom meeting with me, in the next hour and a half? Can you text a bunch of people? And they said, yeah. And so they ended up putting 6 people on a Zoom meeting 90 minutes later. And that person wanted to get started. So then we went back to those first 2 and got them started. So sometimes speed, if you're going with speed, if there is speed, you can do that. But if they're sitting there for a few days, you run the risk a lot of times of them going and talking to people. And because they're not in the business, it's so much easier for them to just leave, not join, because they didn't do anything. So that's just my thought.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, in product-based businesses, it's a lot easier to do that, to do that philosophy, because you can have people test out the product, but it's like, you can't have some people test out your electricity if you're not an advisor. And even if you become an advisor, how are they going to know your electricity is better than somebody else's? It's not, you don't have that ability. So it's definitely, there's ways to go though. If you have somebody who wants to go quickly and put people in a room or on a Zoom, then go for it. I don't care when that person joins.
Yeah. Sean, I think you're next.
Hey guys. Tony, you talked about, and this is just something I wanted to add. You did a great job talking about the invitation and making the list and doing the invitation. And I know we have a saying in the business, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person, and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. That's true to some extent, but I think that the invitation is really important, and understanding sort of the psychology of it and what we want to do with the invitation. And so when I first got in the energy business back in Ambit, I had never been in network marketing of any kind, certainly not in the energy business. And I remember working with Julie directly. And so when I first started reaching out to people, I would call Julie and I would say, hey, this is who I want to reach out to. And I would tell her about the person, and I would ask her to help me sort of craft an invitation. Like, what do I say? And so in doing that, I really learned the psychology of the invitation, and sort of like, what is it I want to do with the invitation and what is it I don't want to do? And I think that if I could just offer a little advice to new advisors, and I wish more people on my team would do this, is, you got your list, identify maybe the top 5 people that you think would be money motivated, entrepreneurial, business minded people. And a lot of times I say, people that are hungry, but also, not just money hungry, but maybe even physically hungry. Maybe they really need the money. Come to me, as a new advisor, I would like them to come to me with this person that you want to reach out to. Tell me everything you know about them. Like, okay, what do they do for work? What's their family? Like, just what do you know about? Are you close friends with this person? Is this a family member? How well do you know them? Give me all the information you can give me about this person, and I will help you craft an invitation to this person. Because there's not really, the invitation, there's a basic sort of psychology to the invitation, but it's not the same for every person you reach out to. It's not going to be the same invitation. You want to be able to tailor it to the individual, because what motivates one person isn't going to motivate the next person. Like a lot of times what I like to do is we talk about sponsoring up. And what that means is reaching out to people that are more successful than you to ask them if they want to take a look at this. Well, that can be sort of daunting and a little intimidating for new advisors, because this person's a lot more successful. Why would they listen to me? And so in that invitation, I might say something like, listen, I'm reaching out to you because I know you're very successful. You've built a lot of businesses, and I really need your opinion on something. But that invitation won't work to somebody that you know isn't successful in business. You can't go to somebody who isn't successful in business and say, "Hey, look, I need your opinion because I know you're really successful in business." So what I'm saying is, not every invitation fits for everybody. And so, if I could just add something, I would say, if you're a new advisor, reach out to your sponsor or to somebody you trust in your upline with your list, give them some information, and say, uh, this is my aunt, my aunt Michelle, and she works at the bank. She's got a family. They've been struggling. The husband lost the job. Tell me something, and then I'll help you sort of understand. I'll craft the invitation for you, and then as you're starting to work with me on that, you're getting to learn yourself what the psychology of the invitation is, what it is you're trying to achieve. So I just wanted to add that.
It's a
Thanks,
really
Sean.
good way to do it. Absolutely. 100%. And so, when we talk about the invitation training, like we have a couple videos that are up on our YouTube channel that talk specifically just about the invitation. So Ed Kenny has one. I have one up there. Anybody else who ever does one, we'll put it up there. If you have one, put it up there. Let me know, give me the video and I'll put it up there. But it's basically like going through every type of person that there is, every type of, like Sean just said, there's people who are on your chicken list that are more successful than you. Then there's people that you feel like you are more successful than them, but you want to show them anyway. So, but what the pattern, Sean, that you got at is you're giving them a compliment in some way. Whether it's you value their opinion or they've been successful, or hey, I really like, based on our relationship, I'd like you to take a look at this because I'm doing this, and whatever it is. But there are basically, in our invitation training video, I think there's like 35 different examples of how to do invitations based on the person that you're talking to. So it's not always just like, hey, I'd like to get your opinion on this. There's different things that you can do, but as long as you're doing the simple basics, like you're complimenting them for something about them, and then you're inviting them to take a look and not to join, then you're going to get everybody to take a look. Because the bottom line is, whatever you're doing, and Julie helping you with that, to be able to craft the invitation to that person, the objective is to get them to look, so that you can then bring them back to Julie for a three-way call. Like that's what this is all about. And the objective is to get them to look.
And I just want to I saw Debbie make a comment
Be
there.
good at is getting people to take a look.
So yeah, I saw Debbie make a comment, and she's brand new, and Sean nailed it. And also, as regarding family, I can tell you, go to for a new person, go to your family first and get them out of the way. Because some will be supportive. My daughter would not be a customer. She is now, because I pretty much threatened her, but no, she was not going to be a customer. But their family can be the hardest, and if you can get past that and just put in your mindset, people that are being negative and or not being cooperative with you sometimes are the people closest to you, because they know you as who you are. They don't know you as an energy expert. So don't let those types of things discourage you out of the gate.
Yeah, definitely.
And just Tony said it a second ago, and I would just real quick hammer on this particular point, is that the goal of the invitation is not to get people to join your business. And I know that sounds sort of counterintuitive, but the goal of the invitation is to get people to look at your business. And in my invitations, I take people off the hook when it comes to feeling an obligation to do something or to buy something or to join something. I say things like, look, this very well might not be anything you're interested in, but I'd just like you to take a look at it. And maybe it is, maybe it's not. And if it's not, no big deal, because a lot of times people will just ignore you or ghost you because they feel like they don't want to disappoint you, or there's a lot, they really need me to join, and that's a lot of pressure on me, so it's easier for me to just ignore them. So in the invitation, I try to focus on I'm not asking you to do anything except just give me 5 minutes of your time to look at something, and and that's it. And if you find that this is interesting to you, we can talk more. but don't worry if it's not. I'm just looking for people that are looking for this.
So Sean,
Um,
they also some comments and transitioning to the three-way call. I know usually what I do is we're always setting, and you're great at this as well, as setting that next appointment when they say they will take a look at what you have. You set the date and the time before you actually send the information over. But when I send them information over, then I also say to them and kind of set up for that three-way call as I thank them for taking a look, and I let them know that most people, and depending on your relationship with the person too, if you can have fun with them or whatnot, most people do have questions, or most smart people have questions, or I had a lot of questions when I first saw this. You're going to kind of gear it towards just a natural conversation with that person. So I am going to make sure my business partner and mentor is on the line when I call you back in about 15 minutes, so we make sure you get all of your questions answered. So they know that's going to happen then, and you don't surprise them. But I don't know if you do that any differently, Sean or Tony or anybody that wants to add for a couple of these new people with this.
No, I mean, I think that's good, and I think that setting up, you don't want to drop a three-way call bomb on them. I learned in Ambit, and I trained on a call one time about this, just the whole process I go through, one-on-one, and setting up the three-way call before you actually push play on the video is the easiest way to sort of ease into that call. You don't want to get to the end of the video and be like, and now I'm just going to call some stranger, and I think you nailed it. You say, and this is what I would always do. It's, and you even use a lot of the words I use, like, listen, you're a smart person, and you're going to have questions, because I know you're going to have questions, and I want to make sure that you get your questions answered by the best. And so I'm going to, I've asked my business partner to be available, because
For
after
you.
the video,
Yeah.
we're going to get, and I don't just say to answer questions, because they may get to the end of the video and say, I don't have any questions. So I will say things like, I'm going to have my business partner, who's been very successful in the business. I've asked them to be available to answer questions, and also to tell you a little bit about their story, and just sort of what they love about this business, or something, you know what I mean? To sort of take off the idea that if they get there and say, well, I don't have any questions, still want to get them on that call if possible. And not because it's this big pressure close, where you really need this person to put a lot of pressure on them to join. It's not that, but you're teaching them the system that we have. So it's not so much you're trying to get I don't want to get Julie on the call so that Julie's like, you're going to join now, right? It's nothing like that. It's more like you're just trying to show this person, like you guys know me, I can talk and I can answer the questions, but not everybody is outgoing or maybe as articulate as some other people in the business. And you want to show the people that you don't have to know a darn thing about energy or a darn thing about network marketing to make money in this business. And by setting up that three-way call and showing them that, look, if you want to call somebody and push play on a video and have Julie available to answer questions, or Tony or Eric or anybody, this is how you're going to have that support system available to you also.
Oh, and Sean, I think too, with if they're ready to go, if they're just so like, oh, this is amazing, what do I do to get started? Because
Right.
you will have those people too. You want to go ahead and get them started and still do the three-way call, but kind of as a welcome call, welcome to the business type call.
Yeah, definitely. And you said another important aspect there too. Even if when you get new advisors into the business, it's good, even if it's not right on the spot when they sign up, but to quickly get them connected to the leadership and to the team, so that they understand that they have support here. They're not floating on an island. That they're not just trying to figure this out by themselves. That they have people that are successful in the business that are willing to take the time out of their Sunday evening to help them personally. Like you said.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Tony, you have your new background, which looks awesome. When Julie, talks about the vision board and goals, Yeah, that's
Mhm.
amazing. So when people write down their goals, you want them to be, you know, you want big goals. But then you also don't want to be overwhelmed. And I think we talked about that a little bit. Like, you know, I I look at myself where I need to be to earn the next trip. And we have people that, like Sean and Loretta, that just hit a rank, and now it's going to take quite a bit to get to the next one, the next rank, or to earn the trip or whatever. And same thing with Kylie, now he has to get to partner or this new qualification way. But like, talk about, I guess, like, if you did the 5-3-5 driving to director in 120 days, like when you break things down, it doesn't have to feel overwhelming. And I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, but like, yeah, I think that's what I'm doing. Like I look at, okay, I need, to hit senior director. I look at how many points that is. I'm like, man, can I do that? But when I look at what you teach in the 5-3-5, and I look at the driving to director that first month, I can do that. I can get 3 new advisors this month and help them all get 5 points. Like, I don't know if you want to get into that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I would say that, none of the, if you look at so if you look at someone who's like a partner, senior director, partner, regional partner, or any of the senior director or above positions, right? If you look at those people, then you ask them, what did you do differently to get to senior director or above or partner? And when I look at it, okay, what did I do to get to senior partner that was and different than what I did to get? Because I started in this business just like everybody else did. I had to go regional energy advisor first, and then I had to reach to get to senior energy advisor. When I look back at what my calendar looked like then versus now, and on my way to senior partner, it's no different. It's the same exact thing. I never stopped doing this basic building block of the business, which is always continually prospect new people, help them get paid when they come aboard, and then teach them to do the same thing. That's all we're doing. We're gathering a handful of our own loyal customers, and we're helping others do the same. So that's all we're doing. And the 5-3-5 building block, and why I love that we have, these mentor bonuses, it's perfectly made for this building block, is that's what, Eric, that's exactly what you're going to do. What you're going to do to get to your next rank is the same thing as a brand new person that's on this call is going to do to get to regional energy advisor. It's the same thing that my new friend Shelly in South Carolina is doing. I just asked her, how fast do you want to get to regional energy advisor? Because that's the first thing we need to do. I said, all these other ranks, that we just need to get you to regional energy advisor first. How soon do you want to make $450 to $825? Like, because that's what we teach in our 5-3-5 building block. And she said, I want to do, she said, she said to me, who's the person that did it the fastest? I said, well, there's people who did it in one day. They just gathered 20 customers in one day and they were a regional energy advisor. So it's just a matter of, I said, you're not going to be able to do that because you live in South Carolina and you don't know 20 people who can be your customer in one day. So I said, we're going to have to bring other people aboard. She said, okay, I want to do it in 30 days. I said, great. Because that was the goal. She said, I want to get that extra bonus. I said, okay, great. So that's what we're working on. Now, here's the thing. Once she says, great, I hit regional energy advisor, she's going to say, okay, how do I get to senior energy advisor? And I'm going to say, you're going to do the same exact thing you did. You're going to do it again. Because every time you promote, you sponsor new people. It's the best thing you can do for your business. Each time you promote, go wider. Every time you promote, you go wider and you start off new lines of new teams. That's what you always do every time you promote. That's what you always want to do. And when you do that, the wider you go, the more profitable your business will be, the more money you will make. And the deeper you go, the more stable it will be residually. So you want to go wide and deep. You don't just want to be 3 legs in your business. You don't ever want to be just 3 lines in your business. You want more than that. Okay, so you always want to be continually sponsoring new people. And so it's no different. Everybody has their own speed and their own, timing for how soon they want to do it, but we're all doing the same thing. I've become senior partner. I am building the same exact way as I did when I first started at regional, as an energy advisor. It's no different. Doing the same. It's like Groundhog Day almost. It's like this year, New Year's was this. I did the same exact thing that I did last year, New Year's Eve, and the year before that, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, when we first started the company. Rework my list, go gather a handful of customers, bring new people in, invite them to take a look, get them started the right way, and just keep continually recycling and just repeat that over and over again. And if you do that, you'll get where you're going. Just have to trust in the system. It's the same exact thing over and over and over again. So I don't care if you're looking to get to 50,000 customers and get to senior partner and that's your goal, you still have to get to regional energy advisor first to get there. And,
Right.
So
and that's,
Tony,
yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I get excited, like Heather said, when you start talking about how we do these things. But now Eric mentioned your new background, and I know we have a lot of amazing leaders on this call that have been on trips, recently earned trips, and brand new advisors that are just getting started. So can you maybe just explain a little bit how the company makes that so attainable for these brand new advisors that we have on the call tonight, and then the importance of actually being there, or the difference maker that it is of being there?
I mean, so the background is because we have a new incentive trip going on, our leadership trip, and it's going to be in Cabo in October. And normally, in order to get on this trip, up until recently, the way you did it was to get to regional director or above. And so, really, we were only bringing people on the trip that had built a business that had 1,500 customers in it or more. And most of the time more. And so now, with the new promotions that we have in place, anyone can come aboard as a brand new advisor and focus on this trip. And, like in the case of the people that I just sponsored personally, myself and my wife and I sponsored in the last week or whatever, every single one of them has it in their mind that they can get on this trip. They're brand new, because if they and their team go out and bring customers aboard, that's what can get them on the trip. You can still rank up and hit those higher ranks to get on the trip, but you have this new way of getting on the trip, because our philosophy is we want the doers, the ones that are brand new, that are out there making an impact and gathering, say, 50 customers in a month, or their team is gathering 100 customers in a month, on their first two levels, even if they're brand new right out of the gate. We want those people who are making a positive impact toward our success as a company. We want those newest people to be on this trip with the people who have been making it happen all along, like Julie. Like Julie's getting on the show. I see Kylie on here. Kylie is just now qualifying for the trip to Cabo. I see his background on there. He's been, doing that all along and been working to do the same thing. I Sean on here, same exact thing, moving forward to get on the trip. And that's what it is. So what'll happen is all of a sudden you'll be hanging around with people on these trips that are actually where you want to be in their lives. Like, you're looking to get where they want to be, and they'll even be beyond where where you think you want to be, and they'll really expand your vision like that. That's why when I always think about all the things, like, I always rely on the things that I learned from people who did something better than I ever did before and did it sooner than I did, and they had the fruit on the tree. That's what I always looked for, to gravitate toward. And that's what you'll get by going on these trips. You'll build these relationships with people that'll last a lifetime. You'll open up new. It's almost like our three-way call that we do. One of the reasons we do these three-way calls in our system is because we want to introduce them to people who can expand their vision. Like that's what we're doing, taking a new person, putting them on a three-way call because the world goes around. The entire world goes around when people meet other people. That's how things go. Like you didn't have a job, you didn't get a job without meeting somebody there and learning about the job and then taking the job and meeting other people. Then you move on to the next career in your life. It's all about meeting people, new people that can help you advance your career. That's how the world goes around. One person meets another and something happens. And that's why we do these three-way calls. And that's why we have these trips. It's like a big giant three-way call. It's like you go on these trips and you're meeting everybody that you ever need to know to help you succeed long term. And they're expanding your vision. So you come back supercharged. Like all of a sudden, you come back from these trips, and the people that you reached out to, the week before, they told you, yeah, it's not something I'm interested in. All of a sudden, you reach out to the next 5 people you reach out to. They're like, all of a sudden, everybody's joining your team. It's because nothing changed. The business didn't change. It's that you changed, is what happened because you were around people who upped your game and upped your expectation and your success and your effectiveness. And that's what happens on these trips. And so you become bulletproof when you go on these. And now I can't wait to have, we've historically, our company and other companies, you had to be a superstar to get on these trips. Now you have to be you can be an instant success, not a famous superstar in the business, not somebody who's doing it for years on end. And then you got on these trips. You can actually join today and earn the trip in a few days or in a handful of days. We have some people who just joined our team in January, like it's only January 5th. We have some new people that joined our team in January that are about to qualify for the trip. And we just launched it 5 days ago. That means they've gone out and gathered close to 50 customers in 5 days. They're brand new. Their whole list is, they live in a market where we're open and their whole list is wide open. Nobody's a Think Energy customer yet. And so they're like, well, I've got 500 people on my list. Maybe I should just call up 50 of them and have them join so I can get on this trip. And then I'll do everything else. I'm like, good idea. That's a great idea. Go do that. So
Yeah, and the great thing is, like, the way these Cancun points work, you help someone do that, you're halfway to Cabo yourself because you're getting half those points. So you just go get a handful of personal customers yourself and help a couple people do that, and you're going on the trip as well. So
yeah,
yeah.
definitely check out thinksuccess.plus and read the trip details, or there's slides for it, but it's on thinksuccess.plus. It's right there publicly. Everybody can see it. It's really cool. I'll give you a funny story. One of the people that just joined in the last 7 days, he wasn't ready to join. I did a three-way call with him and he said, I'm not interested in joining. He and his wife, it was actually, I think it was him. His wife wanted to join and he didn't. So they ended up not joining is what they were saying. So I said, well, that's great. I said, but before just before this is an absolute no, and I just go on to working the rest of the people that I have to talk to, because I have a ton of people to talk to and I have very limited time. So I'll circle back to you in a few months to see if anything changes. But before I go and let you off the hook, so to speak, and I follow up with you in 2 months, why don't you go to thinksuccess.plus? I'll send you the link. And why don't you read the details about how you get on this trip and what the trip is? You can click on the link. It'll tell you about the hotel. So she wanted to join and he didn't. And he ends up contacting me back after reading the trip details. He clicked on the Grand Hyatt. In the trip details, there's a link to the hotel. And he calls me back and he says, do you know that they haven't even finished building this hotel yet? And I was like, I didn't know that. Like literally, I didn't know that. And he's like, yeah. He's like, I clicked on the Grand Hyatt thing. I read about, they showed me the pictures, which is one of the pictures that I see in the background here, which is what they're expecting it to look like. It hasn't even been finished yet. We're going to be he goes like this. He goes, I'm all in because I love going to hotel resorts that people that haven't been used a lot yet. Like it's brand new. And that's what got him to get in. I mean, like, are you kidding me? And so, yeah, so he and his wife joined and they're excited about it, and it turns out it was this simplicity of getting on the trip and the location that made them want to do and want to be with us and do this now instead of waiting for, you saw how I said that whenever I let somebody off the hook, I always say, well, before I, go on to talking to other people and circle back to you in a couple months to see if anything changes in your life. That's one of the things that I always do with people because it assumes that I'm going to follow up with them because I am. because nobody's a no until they actually join as an advisor. Then they're a no because you can't sponsor them again. So anybody who says no, they just go on the follow-up list. They don't go on the no list. They just go on the later list. I have literally never cross somebody off my list until they join as an advisor. Like even if they join as a customer, they're still on my list as an advisor, as a potential advisor. So that's how it works. And so yeah, you just guys, it's an exciting thing that we have here with this trip and the way it works. And just if you build the 535 and you do the 535, you will automatically get on this trip. It's built for 535. So just
Yeah.
keep doing that.
Yeah, and someone just asked if we could go over that real quick, but essentially every personal customer you get is worth 4 points, 4 Cancun points, not points towards getting promoted. So
like credits, travel
yeah,
credits.
yeah. So you need
Tool
200.
credits.
You need 200 in a 4 week period. And that 4 weeks keeps going down the line. So if you didn't get any this first week, which this first week is actually just starting, really, but it's the next 4 weeks. So yeah, 200 Cancun points. Every personal customer you get is worth 4 points, which is why Tony's saying, if you get 50 customers, that's 200 Cancun points. And here in Maine and some other states, electric and solar is separate. So that's um
I share my screen, Eric, just so it's
yeah,
up
go
on there.
ahead. Um so yeah, so in Maine it's really 25 people that do both. Um Electric and solar. And then everybody on your front line. So if you sponsor a new person and you're helping them get to regional energy advisor, um, that's a lot of Cancun points. Like Tony's saying, do 535, and you will almost automatically earn the trip just by doing the 535.
You do it a couple times, you'll definitely get it. So you just keep doing it. That's really what it comes out to. But yeah, it incentivizes people to go and get these credits, 4 credits for each customer that you sign up personally yourself. Doesn't matter community solar, electric. If it's one customer and you sign them up for community solar and electricity, that's 8 points. So that's it. You only need 200 points. So in markets like Maine and and Illinois and Massachusetts and states where they have where you have like both services, you really only need to sign up 25 actual customers if they do both.
Actually,
Community
Texas, you could say that too.
Yeah, Texas, you get 6 points in the state of Texas because you get 4 points for the customer that signs up, and when they connect their their smart thermostat to Think Smart, there's 2 more points, so it's 6 points for each customer there. So that's like 32, 33 customers that do that in the state of Texas, and you're there. You don't need 50. You can accumulate 200 Cancun credits by getting 6 credits for each customer in Texas. And, like in Maine, where Erik is, you got 8 credits available to you for every customer that you sign up. That is insane.
Yeah,
It's
no,
great.
definitely. Um, and then again, like you were saying, if you build wide, you're getting, 2 points for each one of those people that are putting in customers. So wider is definitely a good thing too.
Yeah, definitely. Let's make sure that we're always saying credits for the trip,
Yeah,
Cancun
credit.
credits. Points for advancement and getting bonuses, credits for getting on the trip. So keep it to credits and we're good there. Yeah, but I mean, look, we have people right now like Maine is like the state of New Jersey. So in New Jersey they have they don't really they have electricity and community solar in the state of New Jersey, just like we do in the state of Maine and just like Illinois. And the same thing in Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Those states all have both. And so in those states, like there are people, I just talked to somebody today in New Jersey that is, basically saying, look, all I have to do is go sign up 25 customers because I'm going to get them both. I'm going to get them to sign up for both services. Why wouldn't they sign up for both services to start? And so this person's like, I already put in 6 customers, and I'm like, okay, we're 5 days in and into a 33-day contest, promote period of time. This first period is 33 days. This 4-week window is actually 33 days because this first week was longer. But yeah, as long as he goes and puts in 25 customers that do both services in New Jersey in 28 days, he's going to get on the trip. And so he's definitely going to do it because and he's telling his customers, he's actually calling his customers, I need you to help me. Listen, I'm trying to qualify for a trip. And the only way I can qualify for the trip is if I save you a lot of money on your electric bill. Like that's literally how he's calling people up. If I save you money on your electric bill, I get credits for a trip. I just need 25 people to become my referrals, my customers. Would you be one of my 25 that'll help me earn the Cancun trip? Because that's what I'm looking to do. That's how he's getting, it's a college student. That's how he's getting his customers. So, pretty simple. If you let people know what you're doing, some people will do it just for that. Like if my sister called me up and said, hey, I'm trying to get on this Cancun trip, and if I can save you money, that'll help me get on the trip. If I can't help you save money, I can't get on the trip. I'd be like, okay, what do I have to do? Like if my friend or somebody I did business with or anybody, if they called me up and asked me that, I'm trying to qualify for a trip. And if I save you money, if I can help you with your electric bill at no cost to you, and it'll save you some money, that'll help me get on the trip. Would you become one of my 25 or one of my 50 or whatever it is you want to say? So however you want to do it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I know we've been on here a while. I appreciate your time, Tony and Julie and everyone. I don't know if there's any last minute questions, but I mean, we shared a lot of information tonight, and yeah, I'm excited. I can see myself hitting partner by the end of the year, um and it's all because I'm following, the proven system that you teach, Tony, and obviously you've got it from your mentors for the last 30 years and stuff, and it's because it works, and that's the thing. Like just like buying McDonald's, you're not going to change anything because McDonald's sells more burgers, sells more fries than anybody else, and that's because of the system. And that's what we all need to. That's why I called this reset to success, because we're resetting our focus and our determination on doing the system and getting back to basics. And any one of us on this call here can earn this next trip. I truly believe that, and I think a lot of us will be on that next trip. So I'm excited. Any last words, Tony and Julie?
Just go do it, you guys.
Yeah.
We're in a great spot to handle it. I'll turn it over to you, Julie, to close us out.
Yep. Well, thank you, Tony. Thank you all for being on the call and hanging. I noticed, I kept looking, not anybody got off this call that got on, even though, we have been on for quite a while, and that's true dedication and leadership. And, just try to share this video with your team, with and just like I say over and over, if you follow exactly what Tony Procopio teaches every single week, you cannot fail. And reach out to your team. When we were talking about helping your team and whatnot, I saw Greg Shuck on the call here, and I actually reached out to him today and said, okay, you promoted to director. What's your goal to regional director, and how can I help anybody else on your team? Now I forget, I think he's like 7 levels down in my business, but always recognize those movers and shakers on your team and reach out to them as well. So that's my little bit of last advice for leaders.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thanks to Sean also for chipping in. He had some great information. So
thank you, guys.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Good night.
See you guys in the next
Take
one.
care. Good night.
Night.
Thanks.
Good night,